right, just waiting for Alan to come in. Welcome back, everybody. I've got a Zoom call here with Alan, who's built an amazing brand. I'm excited to get him on. Hey, man. Can you hear me all good?
Yep.
Excellent. Finally.
How are things?
Good, man. I am, all right, am I recording? I'm already recording, dude.
Sweet.
I'll make this short and sweet because I know you're a busy man. What do you think, bro? Does it suit me? Am I well suited for this?
Very good. Very good.
Because I've seen a lot on LinkedIn, and I saw you were in the South China Morning Post. I love the way you're building this brand. It's strong. It's so appealing for someone like myself who's into health, who's into fitness. But maybe we start at the beginning and go back because you've been in Hong Kong for however long. And how did that all start? How did you come to Asia? You obviously do business in China. So where did all this begin? Let's start at the very beginning.
Yeah, I suppose it goes back to our family business. So my old man started the company in Ireland in 1973, and he was traveling out to Hong Kong and other countries in Asia at the time, sort of importing everything and anything that he could get his hands on and sell it back in Ireland. When China opened up in 78, he was one of the first kind of people from Ireland as well to go into mainland, and dealing directly with factories at that stage. So the business was, I'd say, after about 4 or 5 years, it got into souvenirs. So someone came knocking on our door looking for a leprechaun teddy bear or a leprechaun soft toy. And that's how we got into the souvenir business. So anything from pens to keyrings to soft toys, you name it, that we can stick a leprechaun or a shamrock and make green. Basically, we wholesale throughout Ireland. About 10 years ago, we bought a brand called Tipperary Crystal, which is very famous in Ireland. It's about 45 years old. And we've grown that. We'd be the biggest giftware business in the country at the moment. So that with the souvenirs are what the family business was built on, that foundations. I went into the family business at the end of 2007. So just before the big financial crash. So sort of straight into kind of tough times in the business. Worked there for 8 years. And that's when I started my trips out to China, my trips out to Hong Kong, going to the Canton Fair, all factory visits, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, I just fell in love with Hong Kong every time I'd come out. And eventually kind of needed a change out of the family business, there for 8 years, as I said. So needed to make a bit of a change and decided just to pack the bags and move out to Hong Kong.
Nice. You're so the family business is still running, right? But you've got now your own thing going.
Yeah. Well, my two brothers run one side of the company, and my eldest sister runs sort of a separate business that my dad started at the same time. And they've always kind of run side by side over the nearly 50 years now. So when I initially moved out, I was doing some business with the family. So we were setting up an international brand of the Tipperary Crystal brand, and I was going to do the trade shows, deal with factories, deal with the international customers. On the side of that, I set up a sourcing business, and that was kind of in line with my visa. I'm on an investment visa out here, so I wanted to have my own business here so I could get my visa through that. That kind of kicked off. It went well at the start. I landed Cirque du Soleil as a customer, and we were making a range of ornaments for them. That went really well at the start. Had a few companies that I was supplying whiskey packaging for. That was going well. And then I suppose when everything kind of started kicking off with the protests here, Cirque du Soleil were getting in, they were in financial trouble anyway. And then when COVID hit, that all went bust. They went out of business last year. And things have definitely slowed down on the sourcing side. But in and amongst all that, I had started Earned, and that's kind of where my primary focus is at the moment now. That's what I want to be growing. So I'm kind of spending 80-90% time on Earned, and then the rest on the sourcing business.
On the sourcing with still old clients that are making it through COVID, right? And still, doing business in China. So things must have really changed, right? During COVID. Earned wasn't a COVID business, though. I remember you had this going for quite some time, right? So it's just now you've had more time for it then.
Yeah, I mean, I came up with the idea for Earned at the end of 2018. Very much off the back of what I've seen brands do in the UK with Gymshark, a brand called Alpha Lead in the States, and just kind of looking at them being successful and then looking at this side of the world and not really seeing too many people do it. So, there's definitely brands out here, but not no one doing anything what we're doing in terms of that type of fitness. There's a lot of yoga brands, but no one really. I suppose we're a bit more kind of rough and rugged, more appealing definitely towards men at the moment. We are about to release our women's range this month. So seeing a space in the market there, it did take about a year to get Earned off the ground, which I thought it would take 8 to 12 months in terms of getting the right factory, getting the right product, making sure that we're happy with everything before it was released. But then we launched December 2019. So middle of the protests here, I had to go into China and smuggle all the black clothing across the border because they wouldn't let any black clothing into Hong Kong at the time. And that was like nothing. They wouldn't let black socks or boxer shorts across the border. So I had to go up with 2 suitcases and bring all the gear back in. We then basically were straight into January. We were straight into COVID. So not a brand born from COVID, but haven't experienced anything else but it.
Yeah, that's right. So when you would go into China, it was all in South China, right? All the factories, everything's pretty much down here. You would never have to fly up north much, would you?
No. Xiamen is where our clothing factory is. And then all the other factories, all of our accessory factories, I haven't had the chance to get to because everything's been locked down. So normally I'd always make it a point to get to a factory at least once to really build, like, what it's like in China, right? All about relationship and building that up. But yeah, it's all have to be done over calls and WeChat. But I've been to our clothing factory quite a bit before the lockdown, but nothing in the north. I've been up to the likes of Yiwu and those places before, but I'm not sure what they're like for clothing.
Interesting. So let's talk deep about the brand. This is something obviously you're really passionate and you're proud about this, right? Of what you built. Yeah. Tell us about the whole building brand process, because that I find incredibly interesting, of how it is like we were talking about yesterday, you have some big influencers now. So it's coming to the stage now where influencers want to wear the garment. They're in touch with the brand. So how was that whole process? How did you, from beginning to end? Yeah,
it's something it's been really interesting for me, because I was just saying this to someone the other day, coming from a souvenir business, right? You can't get too passionate about leprechauns. There's just no real, I was never really, really passionate about selling sort of a giftware brand or leprechauns and shamrocks and stuff. So it was more like it was a family business. It was something we built, and it was that's what the passion was. It was like our dad started this, and then we went into the family business. So that was where it was like that. It meant something to us. When we started the brand, my business partner, Ed, who's very big on values and making sure, like, the why behind everything. So he's been great for me in terms of the why behind the brand. So we've had options over the year where we could have cross branded with gyms, and there was a few offers in for kind of quick sales or short-term gains. But again, it's back to the why you're doing it, and you're making sure you're not stretching your brand or diluting your brand at all by working with the wrong product or the wrong company or someone who doesn't align with your values. So that's definitely been something that I'm just more and more and more aware of all the time. So one big thing with the brand and how you build brand awareness is through ambassadors. And we have a handful of people we work with at the moment. And like our list of why we work with these people is literally, number one is that they have to be a good person. Number two is that their values align with our values. And like, it doesn't even, they don't have to have all the followers in the world. They just have to be doing something good in the fitness and health space. And that's what matters with us. And they're all like, I deal with these people all the time as well. And I don't want to be dealing with assholes, right? I want to be dealing with people who I feel comfortable dealing with, that want to help the brand grow. And they all are very much on that length. They're like, they want to work with something at the start and see where it can go. We have had a few people get offers from larger brands that they've taken and they've had to stop working with us. Or even Tammy, our biggest influencer, was offered like a nice package from a brand out of the UK, and she turned it down so she could stay with us and help us grow the brand, which again, it's just so important that you're getting the help from the right people. In terms of then, again, I suppose a good example of where we kind of went off a bit on the brand and we had to realign everything. It was about halfway through last year, and we were talking with someone here in Hong Kong who was keen to work with us on the marketing side. They wanted to get involved with the brand. They loved it. They loved the meaning behind it. And we went in and met with them. Now, they were looking for sort of crazy money for us to pay them, or to them come in and take shares and all that sort of stuff. But it really made us think about the brand, and we'd kind of gotten lost a bit. We'd done a photo shoot and it was all kind of happy, lucky, thumbs up, like everyone smiling in the photos. And we just sort of went, listen, that's not us. We're all about the people who want to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, go to the gym, work out hard, have the rest of their day. That the gym's an important part of their day because it focuses them and it gets them going. And it's these people that then go on and are trying to excel in their job and in their life and really, like, as we say, trying to earn it. Like they're that kind of 27 to 35, 40-year-olds who are really pushing in every aspect of their life. So we sat back down and we looked at our brand Bible and we just revamped the whole thing. Myself and Ed sat down in about 2 hours. We just banged out what we're looking for, the type of person that we're targeting. We made up these avatars of men and women who suit the brand, and that's the type of person we're looking for. And that was great for us because we really sat down and went, right, these are our values and this is what we're looking for, and these are the people we want to work with. And we created a brand Bible that now that we can just keep on going back and referencing. And if we work with a new photographer or a new marketing team, we just send them that brand Bible and go, this is what we're about and this is what we're looking for. And it's very important that you keep on coming back and referencing that so you don't get too lost, because you can forget about these things and you can, maybe an opportunity comes up and you think this is going to be great, but it's like, okay, is this the right person? And then again, you look at your brand Bible and your values and you go, okay, no, it doesn't work with us. So the brand awareness side of things it's super, super important. And it just keeps the focus, I suppose, on the long-term goal for the brand as well, rather than looking at these short-term things that pop up, that we want to just be focused on what we're trying to do, who we are, and like who we want to be, or how we want the brand to be in the future.
Yeah, it's good because part of the reason, obviously, I've been wanting to get you on the podcast for a long time because I really admire what you do. I absolutely love the brand, but also there was a secondary intent because I want to learn this stuff, right? So listening to you about how you kind of went back to your values, you have your brand Bible. This is something that I actually want to do also for my company as well. I understand it now because it is like with a lot of fitness influencers, it's true they do have a good following, but maybe the values, like you said, don't align. And I like what you said with Earned. It's that those guys that wake up at 6 o'clock, and because that's what you're earning, you have to earn it, right? It's these self-driven, motivated, sort of an entrepreneurial kind of mindset, right? About their health and their fitness. I really like that. I really like that. Learning more about that now makes obviously me more invested emotionally into the brand. But tell me about your partners, Ed and what's the other guy's name? Ant. So tell us they're very credible CrossFitters, right? And their profile obviously greatly supports what the meaning of the brand is, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it's one thing I always say to people: if they weren't involved, it would just be a white guy trying to sell Asian people clothing, and I don't think that would go very far. So it was something. I've been a part of their gym, Coastal Fitness, here in Hong Kong for nearly 4 years now, and I was always into sport. Growing up, I was always into sport. Never really mad into the gym. Never really gave it too much. Like, would go for 3 months and then pack it in and go on my own. Never really motivated to do it on my own. And then got too fond of the pints of Guinness back home and the social side of sport. But when I moved out here, I decided that I was going to get fit, and finding the gym that they built this community in there. So, and then a lot of it is accountability for me. So I'd book into a class and be like, right, I've booked in, I've got to go to this class. And then I'd get there, coach is there, he's putting an effort in, I've got to put an effort in. And I found with having people around me, I'd get a bit more competitive. So that was great for me. And then I was in this gym and I was seeing what the community in the gym, and it was great fun. And I was always looking forward to going to class and making loads of new friends and just getting more and more and more into it. And just looking at what they've done and how the gym is grown, I was always quite interested. I was like, okay, what could they do next? And I thought, if they open it up another gym and they split the two brothers apart, you're taking a bit of the unique selling point away from the gym. Do they want to do that? Like, it's hard to run multiple gyms in Hong Kong anyway because of rents. And my first kind of thought was like, why don't I look at sourcing gym equipment, and we could brand it up with their name, or we could do like all these like different ideas that I was looking at. And then the Earned concept came around based off what I was saying with Gymshark and with Alpha Elite in the States. And it's exactly, the two boys add credibility to it straight away. Ant is the fittest man in China. In 2019, he finished 27th in the CrossFit Games. Ed is a phenomenal coach. He's so knowledgeable on every aspect of kind of health, wellness, and fitness. And he's a super interesting guy to talk to if you have any kind of niggles or any kind of fitness goals or anything like that. He just always has really solid information that he comes back with. And his kind of coaching aspect that he's done on his social media as well, I find super interesting, and the growth he's had on like his social just from concentrating on coaching. So yeah, I mean, I pitched the idea to them I pitched the idea to Ed at the end of 2018. I'd done up a little pitch deck on Slide Bean. Pitched them the idea of creating a brand based around their gym. Initially was the idea, which he really liked the idea of. He didn't have a clue about apparel or anything like that, and I just said, listen, I will do everything. I'll set it all up. I'll get everything running, and you guys can give the feedback on the gear and then the influence to get it out there and make it legit straight away. And I've seen other brands here try launch without that influence, and it's very different. It's very different to get traction. Like, and even like just taking Instagram as an example, like Ant has 65,000 followers or something like that, and Ed's about 10,000, and Earned is sitting around 4,000 followers. So you don't actually get as much traction as you think you'll get. You would like, you kind of in your head, you go, yeah, all their followers will just follow us because it's something they do. And it's not how it works. So if you don't even have that, it's just, I would imagine it would be very hard.
Yeah. So you put a lot of importance onto influencer marketing, right? And obviously starting with two very big, they're very extremely influential people in sport and fitness, right? This was definitely key. This is something you would contribute.
It's yes and no. It's not as big as it used to be.
Okay.
You don't get as much traction. I think it's a very, very different ball game in Asia than it is to the States. I think America is an Instagram culture. So people that like maybe shouldn't be getting as much traction or as much attention or as many followers as they should be tend to. It's changed. Like when Gymshark launched 8 years ago, Instagram was on the rise, the algorithm was different, and boom, it took off. Things have changed in that area now. Like, again, it's like paid advertising. So not everyone, I think, for instance, if and puts a post up, only 5% of his followers are going to see the post unless you go to his page, the way the algorithm works. So it's not hitting everyone. So that's why you're then paying for your ads to try and get a bigger reach. So I do think it's important because it adds value and legitimacy to the brand straight away. And then also when I'm reaching out to other influencers or other ambassadors, I can reference Ant, I can reference Tammy, I can reference Ed, and straight away people go, oh, they're working with them or they're a part of it. So straight away they look at it as a good thing. One thing I'm quite focused on in that space is the coaching side of things. So these people who coach online, who have a real engaged following. And one thing that I'll fill you in later because it's not 100% signed on, but Knees Over Toes, he's got this engaged following, right? Like all he talks about is how to make people jump higher and to fix your knees. But he's got 500,000 followers. So anyone following him is following him for a specific reason, right? Whereas if you've got a really hot guy or girl who takes loads of topless photos, 99% of their followers are just people who want to have a perv on them. They're not going to actually, if they bring out a product, buy it, or it's not legitimate. So I'm kind of focused on maybe the smaller people with smaller followers, or the engagement levels are higher. So we work with a few coaches on our ambassador level, and they've got email lists that, again, people who follow them all the time. So when we launch a new range, they would email directly all their clients, and that just gets more traction and tends to get a bit more loyalty, I think.
Yeah, Knees Over Toes. I like him because he wears Fayeux, the shoes that he wears.
Yes,
I have a load of. I'm a big Fayeux guy.
I was we were just talking about it yesterday because I've been talking with Ben quite a bit, and I've been meaning to ask him because it's him and his wife, both wear them. And I've been meaning to ask them because I haven't seen them in the States as much as you'd see them. Like you see them in Hong Kong all the time. But it's Taiwanese brand, right?
No. It's Chinese, but I think a big French company bought them. I think they're big in Europe. But those are the shoes. Those are the shoes that the Shaolin monks wear, and the Chinese PLA, the People's Liberation Army. They wear Fayeux. Yeah. Okay. And if you go to any Shaolin temple, they're all wearing Fayeux. It's like it's the shoe that they mass produce just to give to all like the grunt workers, right? The ones that the PLL use are green, like a cam color. And it's something you always like, you just see it all the time in China. And then now, you see all these cool fashionable colors, but you're like, yeah, it's Fayeux. It's still, but I don't know. I like it. It's an interesting, way of sort of repackaging something, right? And they're not expensive. It's 55 RMB. It's stupid. They're stupid cheap. 55 RMB. That's less than, It's a little bit less than $10. It's like $8, $8.50.
Well, next time, whenever I can get to Shenzhen, I'll have to buy a few pairs.
Dude, send me your address. I'll send you over a pair. I'll just send you one. I'll get you your Fayeux, dude. I'll send you some Fayeux socks as well. With Ed and Ant, like, can you remember your first CrossFit session with them? Because CrossFit, obviously, is this something that you, just to jump into CrossFit a little bit, are you kind of very much part of the CrossFit culture? Like you like the programming, you like this system? Are they the ones that introduced it to you, or are you kind of just more about fitness and health and whatnot?
So I started CrossFit in Ireland 3 months before I moved to Hong Kong, purely because I was like, I want to get into shape. There was a CrossFit gym near, I moved back home for 3 months to save a bit of money. And it was near my parents' house. So I was like, okay, it's 5 minutes away. I'll join this gym. Went up, actually enjoyed it, got into some good nick, moved to Hong Kong, then did nothing but drink and party for 4 months, ruined the rig. And I decided I'd actually looked up Coastal Fitness before I moved here. And then randomly enough, I moved near the gym, but I didn't know I was doing that. But one day it was before I moved near the gym, and I decided that I was going to go to this other CrossFit gym. And I was like, I need to get back and do something. And I went to this class, and it was like, I think it was like 8 o'clock at night. It was more of a HIIT class than a CrossFit class. And it was me, and I think it was me and about 11 women in the class. And I've never been in so much pain as I was. They had to ask me to leave the gym. The gym was closing, and I was still lying on the floor. I was there for about 45 minutes, and I just couldn't move. And they were like, "You've got to leave." I couldn't walk properly for about 5 days, and I went, "Right, I'm never doing this again." So joined Coastal. I can't remember the first one, but initially I was really like, can we curse on this? Can we like curse on this?
Yeah, of course.
I didn't want to become a CrossFit wanker. And I was like, I'm not falling into the cult. I'm going to go 3 times a week, and I'm not going to be doing the social side. I'm going to just go do my thing and get out. So for about 4 or 5 months, I was really like head down, was obviously friendly to people and stuff, but wasn't making too many friends in the gym. And then after that, it all went downhill, and I'm fully obsessed. Like, I've started my own clothing brand based around CrossFit, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I do love the culture in the gym. It's really good. The standard of coaching in Coastal is phenomenal. I've been to other CrossFit gyms around the world, and that's the big difference. So I'm sure you've heard of a lot of the talk, like where people go, CrossFit's really dangerous. It's like you get injured doing stupid things. It's all down to the coaching, and it's all down to the level of coaching in the gym. So I went to one gym in New York, and they had a snatching, and they didn't even ask. They never asked me if I ever snatched a barbell, which is a technical thing to learn how to do. And they just had people snatching in the gym, and like just looking around the place, and I was like, a lot of these people shouldn't be doing this movement. Whereas like Coastal, they have your 5 classes that you got to do before you get into the gym. There's different levels in the gym. But yeah, like initially I was trying to fight back getting too into it, and then I gave in and fully submerged into the CrossFit world.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Actually, a lot of questions and a lot of doubt about CrossFit is easily solved just with correct coaching, because any dark clouds that hover over CrossFit are usually about, like you said, it's high. The injuries are high on it, and it's kind of, you're dealing with a mass group of people. But if you with coaching that's done well, all of those problems are solved. Everyone is getting fit, nobody's getting injured, and everyone just keeps coming back, right? That's actually very true. It's something that I don't think a lot of people think about when they tune CrossFit. Usually people tune it because they want the attention, because if you draw attention to something negative, usually you get more eyeballs than if you just praise something, right? So, sometimes there's an ego-driven thing inside.
And it's still such a young sport. I mean, I think it's 2011 or something like that it started. So
that's right.
You're still fine-tuning so much in the sport, and how it's going to change and how it's going to adopt, and like it's an interesting space to be in. And one of the reasons why, again, I started Earned was because it's such a young sport, and because it's even younger in Asia. But now with the new ownership and their plans for China, I think we are in a kind of good place and a good position to be early adapters in the space on this side of the world, which I think is in terms of like we're basically planning a seed raise at the moment. And nice. I think that's something that's potentially inviting for investors, that you're going, well, we're the only CrossFit brand in Asia. CrossFit is planning on having 20,000 boxes in China in the next 20 years. Like, we're in the right space, we're in the right position, I think, to take advantage of that. So it is. It's kind of, it's still very young, as I said, and there's still a huge amount of growth to come in the sport.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to end on is, Earned and the future of Earned. So you were just, you touched on how you're going to ride the wave in China with now with what Eric Rosa, he has a passion for CrossFit in China, right? He wants to push it into China. So you're hoping to sort of correlate with that and bring the brand in this way. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I've spoken. I've had a few emails back and forth with Eric, and I've been speaking with Gary Gaines, who's the general manager. Previously, how CrossFit had grown. CrossFit concentrated on CrossFit in America, and that was it. They would write a piece for CrossFit. It would go to Italy. It would be in English. They'd get no hits on it. It would go to Spain. They didn't concentrate on any other markets. And obviously China is the big, a lot of people see it as the kind of the golden goose, right? And you've got a lot of growth there in China, in Brazil, and in Russia, I think, are the three big focuses. So yeah, that is the plan for them. I think the new ownership are very ambitious. They're tidying up the house at the moment in America, and then I think they'll start going after the kind of rest of the world. And the plan is to work with different partners around the world, whereas previously they kind of hadn't. If CrossFit grew anywhere else, it was purely because someone had been to a CrossFit gym in America, thought this was a cool idea, and then started one in their own country. So it was all organic growth everywhere else apart from the States.
Wow.
So listen, that is the aim. We're not going to wait and sit around and wait for CrossFit to start growing China or pushing their plans in China. As I mentioned, we're trying to do a seed raise to really inject a bit of life into the brand in terms of releases for next year. So we'd like to do 4 releases next year, really put some money behind our marketing and our creative, and then really push the brand out in Hong Kong, into Southeast Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and then definitely the plan down the line is mainland China. We've always spoken about it in my family, and sat around the dinner table talking about products that we could potentially sell into China. So it's always been something in the back of my head. I definitely know how hard it is and how different it is, and how challenging selling goods into China, just with, like, as you know, it's a completely different mindset. It's a completely different culture. Very open to the possibility of having to move there and do all that for a few years, or however long it takes. But that is kind of that's the long-term goal is to try sell in China. Nice.
That's a good story, huh? Like, what a great way to end.
That's the plan. That's the plan.
Yeah. You were bringing leprechauns out of China, and then now you're bringing, sports clothing back into China. That's the story beginning to end. Oh, I love it, man. Thanks so much. Sorry if this went over time a bit. I didn't want to eat up too much of your time. You got a big brand to build. I'm really, really excited about what's coming. I saw you did the ladies. You posted that with you got the ladies garments all started. So that's something to look forward 16th. To. Where would people what's the website and the Instagram handle and all of this? Everyone can get on.
Yeah, earnedathleticapparel.com, and Instagram handle is the same, Earned Athletic Apparel. People can get me on LinkedIn. Is probably the best space to get me. But women's range dropping on June 16th. And then, and hopefully then another launch towards the kind of end of the year for some more male and female stuff. But yeah, nice. big one on June 16th.
Excited, man. Thanks so much. This has been a great call. Learned a lot.
Cheers, dude.